Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to take this to any nearest bank. In 2027, we are going to have a 3-horse race in the Republic of Kenya. We are going to have William Ruto defending his seat. We are going to have Linda Wananchi. And of course, we are going to have another camp led by Rigathi Gachagua. And there is something which Rigathi Gachagua said yesterday during his interview. I want you guys to listen to him because I think Rigathi Gachagua is right.
Since the proclamation of the 2010 Constitution, whoever the mountain has supported has been president. President Uhuru Kenyatta was supported by the mountain and others, and he became president. The same happened in 2017. In 2022, President William Ruto was supported by the mountain and others, and he became president. From where I sit, being a very practical realist, politics is a game of numbers. The mountain has moved away from William Ruto. He has no chance whatsoever, because that vote is huge. And it's even more complicated because in 2022, he got 87% of the vote. 13% went to Raila Odinga. 1.6 million people did not vote. That 87%, that 13%, that 1.6 that did not vote are all together against him. Whoever they'll vote for, either from the mountain or from outside the mountain, will be the next president of the Republic of Kenya. These are statistics.
Okay.
It's not anything that is, numbers don't lie. And we have a history that from 2013, 2017, 2022, William Ruto became president courtesy of the mountain vote.
The truth of the matter is that there is no way any political player can go to the polls without the equation of Mount Kenya. Mount Kenya is central to any political formation. You either work with them on your side or work without them on your side. And there is also something which indicated, and that's something which I've repeated on this platform, that there's going to be a presidential candidate from Mount Kenya. And clearly, based on what Rigathi Gachagua is saying, his party is likely to front someone to run for the presidency.
Akina Faith Getawa and Anasi Chungwa, they have gone to William Ruto saying, please interfere with the courts and make sure Rigathi Gachagua is barred from ever running, because if he runs, he'll finish us. See what you can do with the court and make sure he is barred from ever running, so that if he doesn't run, the mountain doesn't have a presidential candidate, then it's easier for us to get elected. I have very bad news for you. You people who have been pressurizing William Ruto to interfere with the courts and make sure that I'm not a candidate and the mountain has no candidate. I have very bad news for you. I have young men and women who have come of age. In the unfortunate event that William Ruto interferes with the court process and I'm barred from ever running, I have men and women ready to run. So me and the community will agree, pick one, and I can tell them, those young people I have are more lethal than Rigathi. In fact, a contest between one of my people, the ones I have, they would have a better showing than I as a presidential candidate, because one, they are youthful, they have a lot of energy, and also the country is craving for youthful leadership. So those who have been going to Ruto crying to him that he can use his influence and money to corrupt the courts so that I'm locked out, so that the mountain will never have a candidate for president, for deputy president, I have bad news for you. After my team, because I then there, all my young people, 18 of them were there. From among them, in case they succeed and they say I cannot, we have men and women, competent, capable, articulate, energetic to be president or deputy president for that matter.
And anybody who's been following the political developments in DCP, Rigathi Gachagua is keen on stopping William Ruto from becoming the next president of the Republic of Kenya again. At the same time, Rigathi Gachagua is also keen on ensuring that DCP becomes the dominant party in Mount Kenya. And according to his own admission, if he will be locked out, then he has a plan. And that plan involves a young man he's been mentoring. Why do you think Rigathi Gachagua decided to appoint John Methu as the SG and the spokesperson of DCP? And why do you think Rigathi Gachagua decided to hand over the task of delivering all Kalau to John Methu? The truth of the matter is that John Methu is either going to be a running mate or is going to be a presidential candidate under DCP should Rigathi Gachagua be locked out. In this video, I want to reveal to you guys why Rigathi Gachagua will definitely front a Mount Kenya presidential candidate. Before you do that, in case you're watching the channel for the first time, take a second or two, click that subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are Rigathi Gachagua and you have the numbers, what would you do? William Ruto became the president of the Republic of Kenya because Mount Kenya gave him 47% of the votes he got. If you are to look at the number of votes William Ruto got and you subtract 47% of them, that's a very good start for anybody coming from Mount Kenya. Then you add that number to the ones which voted for Raila Amolo Odinga. So in short, Mount Kenya has the numbers. And Rigathi Gachagua understands that Mount Kenya has the numbers. And because Mount Kenya has the numbers, definitely he believes that if elections were held, and let us just be realistic, if elections were held in the Republic of Kenya today, and we have a three-horse race, Sifuna, William Ruto, and Mount Kenya candidate, there's a high chance that the Mount Kenya candidate can either be number one or number two, purely on the account of numbers. That is something which Rigathi Gachagua understands. That is something which William Ruto understands. And that is also something which Edwin Sifuna also understands. I know you are wondering why Rigathi Gachagua is not going to support Linda Wananchi. It's not going to do that. And again, let us also look at another issue. The issue of coalition negotiations. Raila Odinga became very powerful in the Republic of Kenya because he owned a party, because he contested for the presidency, because his party commanded serious presence both in parliament and at the county levels. That is why Raila Odinga was strong. That's why Raila Odinga would always enter into coalition with any political party. So for Rigathi Gachagua, it makes sense, if you are to ask me, for him to sponsor a candidate to run, not necessarily to win. Because the truth is, Rigathi knows that it's not going to be easy to defeat Ruto. And even if Ruto were to be defeated, it's not going to be easy, particularly for his party, DCP, to win, because Mount Kenya alone cannot win. So he's planning a way such that they'll be on the ballot. Then a rerun is going to be occasioned, because as long as we have three-horse race, none of them will meet the 50% plus one threshold. And that's what Rigathi Gachagua was actually alluding to in that video. Once that happens, assuming he becomes number 3, he will be in pole position to negotiate with whoever he wants. He will be in that pole position to dictate the kind of engagements. Because by that time, Rigathi will be lucky. He will be controlling MPs from Mount Kenya already elected, controlling several counties, and of course, politics is a game of numbers and perception. So the coalition which is going to support him, he can say, okay, now we have Ruto and Sifuna. Then his numbers. Then he can now decide to negotiate either with Ruto or with Sifuna. He can even decide now to serve that revenge. He will tell Ruto, you frustrated me. Now I have the chance now to punish you. But he will have to get a good deal from the other side. And there's also something which I know most of you always overlook. Funding of political parties. How are political parties funded and how do they survive? Most political parties survive through the political parties funds. And for you to qualify for these political parties funds, there's normally some threshold. You must have some number of MPs, MCS, and of course even governors. And at the presidential level, there's a way they calculate it, even if your party is not contesting. So the truth is, Rigathi is looking beyond 2027. His focus is maybe 2032. He believes that should William Ruto manage to get back, he shall now have formed a political party. And he will be able now to run that party because the funds will be there. ODM remained because it qualified for political parties fund. And that's how they were able to move across. If DCP will be able to get the number of MPs, the number of senators, it will qualify by law for political parties funding. Assuming Rigathi Gachagua is in opposition and he is qualified, he has money which is controlling as the party leader. Problem. And I also know that if there's one prayer Rigathi Gachagua is actually making, is for DCP to become the dominant party in Mount Kenya. Someone was telling me that the reason why we are seeing a lot of movement from Jubilee to Linda Wananchi is because Uhuru is now drifting from Jubilee after the humiliating defeat in Olkalau. And is actually responding because of now the influence of Rigathi Gachagua. He believes that Linda Wananchi is a bit more powerful now than Jubilee. And therefore, by associating and unleashing Linda Wananchi, especially in the mountain, he will be able to tame Rigathi. But Rigathi understands one thing, that for DCP to survive politically, it must dominate Mount Kenya. You can only claim that a party is dominating an area by counting the number of MPs, the number of MCS, the number of governors, and the number of women rep and senators they control. By going for the presidency, it means this party will attract more aspirants from Mount Kenya, credible people. And of course, by running for the presidency, they will be able to win seats, which some of them they would not have won if they were not on the ballot. Ask Kalonzo Musyoka. So he wants to dominate Mount Kenya politics. And of course, there is also this thing which most people are underrating, the power of being a political leader. Like Raila Odinga was the ODM party leader, controlling MPs, controlling governors, controlling senators. And of course, there's a proposal for the official opposition leader to actually get funding. These are the things Rigathi Gachagua is eyeing. I don't know what you think. That's my take. Until next time, this is Lee Makwiny. Bye-bye.